Well, we're at Tom's tonight and he's got a strut that needs replaced. So there's plenty of rust, as you always get here in Scotland. So as you can see, the spring's collapsed. So it's a very similar setup to any of the other cars. First challenge is going to be getting this hose off. So it's a 10mm bolt. This ABS sensor clips in somewhere, but anyway, first thing I do is undo that, then we'll slacken off these bolts, and then once we get to the top, we've got nuts here, here and there, and loads of leaves. Well, this is the balls we're having at the moment, trying to get that bolt out. You can see the start of it there, but that bracket is pretty well welded on there with corrosion. Right, well, that 10mm bolt there was well corroded in and it had to get ground off, so that's obviously on the hose, so we had to retain that, but that'll need to get cleaned up. So the next joyous part will be to try and undo the drop link, which is not usually that easy in Scotland. So we've got the lower drop link there and the upper drop, so hopefully we can just get that one off. I think, is that a 17, is it? 17mm. Well, the Scottish weather has struck again. This is just spinning, so the drop link's going to be cut off at the back there. Just get a cutting blade straight down, and then it'll be the same on the bottom part of the drop link. We've got a spare drop link here to put in. So, well, we've cut the drop link off, but there's still remnants of stuff at the back which needs to get buzzed down. You'll see there, and also there. Right, so we've ground that and then we've punched that out with a drift, but we got a spanner at the back and loosened it till it was ready to pop out. So that's away in there somewhere, probably on the ground. The next thing is to see about getting these 22mm bolts out that hold the knuckle on. So that's just getting left in there because that's going with the old strut and the knackered spring. So that's the next step. So we got the top one out. There was a lot of force involved in that. We ended up using a bit of unistrut on the end of a socket wrench. The torque wrench, which gives 400 Newton meters, didn't want to move it initially, but we got it cracked off, as I say, using that long lever. So now we've got to get this one done. Right, so that one came off much easier. We've still to take that bolt out completely, just put a jack underneath to support the knuckle for the time being. And then 14mm nuts, we think. 4 of them, 2 there and 2 here. Here's an action shot of the strut tops, 14mm, take that off while you get the next one.
Sheared, is it?
It's like it's sheared. So that wasn't expected. And oh, I'll tell you what's maybe happened. Oh no, has the nut come off or is it actually sheared?
That's sheared, doesn't matter.
So that's sheared, okay. So this one, well, you might as well get that one at the back, I suppose.
Can't see.
Just in there. See, it comes straight down to the top and there. If it's tight, aye, that's alright. It's still in the, it's, I think, see the nut there. This one here, Tom, isn't it?
No, there's one there.
Oh, is there 5?
Yeah.
Strange, eh? Continuing. Maybe try tightening it first, just in case it. Well, you've got a case of tight nuts, Tom.
Yeah.
And then the last one. Other one's up there.
That's still on.
Thing is, when you drop the strut down, you'll be able to take it out anyway, won't you?
Get that nut off.
Ah. It's not just turning, is it?
It's like it. That'll be alright.
No, that wasn't too bad. It's quite clean, that thread though, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Is that just on top?
I think it's just
Yeah, so it'll just be a case of dropping it down. So that one's just staying there at the moment. That one's okay. That one's okay. That one's okay. And then this one, it looks like it's actually sheared off. Right, so we're now going to let the jack down and then we're going to pop that out. Just make sure that brake cable's out the way. That's it. The cable okay there, the ABS.
We need to put this up.
I'm wondering if that nut is still stopping it. Right, we're okay there. You give that a wiggle like pulling it down, Tom. That's it, yep, the nut is free now. So that should be you free to come out. There we go. So there we go. There's a comparison of the old versus the new. Some difference, but weren't too worried about the stud snapping because this one came. It was a complete assembly with the strut top included. There it is. So that completely sheared off. So this is the new one to go on. Right, so we've vacuumed all this out to get it a bit tidier, and we're now going to shove the new strut up into the mount. So we've put on all we've put on all 5 nuts. It's a bit fiddly that actually. It's not that straightforward. So if you've got a pal to give you a hand, push it up, and then we put like the front 2 nuts on first. Started tightening them up, and then it started to raise everything else up. So yeah, I would definitely recommend having a pal to help you with that, because that would be pretty frustrating on your own. And then the other thing is, when you're trying to get this in here, you've got to fish it in and get it up the top there first. So if you were trying to do that and locate the the strut top up there and put a nut on, I think you'd be pretty well toiling, but you never know, you might be alright. Well, we've done some Scottish rust belt preparation. We've put a bit of copper grease on the inside of the strut where it connects with the knuckle. We've put some copper slip inside the bore on the knuckle side. So now it's a case of lining up the bottom of the strut with the knuckle and then tapping the bolts in. We've cleaned the bolts up as well. Alright, so we're getting the... I'll get that punch again. Where's the punch? Yep. Is that just a bit there, or?
Just a bit.
That's it. Just tap that in. I'll tickle with a final adjustment tool. That's it through. And then we've got 2 nuts to put on the end. As you can see, we're using plenty of copper slip. That's the top one on. bracket with that wind, eh? Whoops.
So what happens?
I would just nip it up on the right hand side.
How's it? The nuts will be warm, like.
That'll be good enough. Right. Right, so we've fitted the brake hose bracket. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to fit the drop link. So there's the upper mount on the strut, and then there's the lower mount on the anti-roll bar. Right, so we've fitted the bottom part of the drop link. So we're now going to jack up the wishbone and bring the strut up, hopefully in alignment with the top of the drop link, and then we'll pop that in. So we jack that up to align it. Tight nuts.
That's it.
Yeah. Right, so that's that. So now we'll let the jack down and then we'll get the wheel on. Once we've got the wheel on and bolted on, we'll snug these up a bit more, and that should be it. Job done. Well, we've come across a slight problem. There is a cross-threaded lug nut, so we'll have to get a replacement, and then we'll just have to refit this panel. We've not got. That's it. We'll need to tighten them down now that the weight is on the vehicle. So what we've found is, to get these back nuts tightened up, you actually need the longer bolt for this one, the longer nut. The ones that come with this strut top are too short, and it's very difficult to get a socket on here. So we're using the original long nut to get the socket onto it. Well, what we think was happening is, because there's so much of the thread sticking out, it's actually, because it's a short reach socket, it was pushing against it. So if you use the longer nut, there's not as much sticking out. You see how much is sticking out on that one? Well, there's less sticking out there. So if you use a long reach socket, you're probably okay with the shorter nuts. So that's just an observation that we've had here. Right, that's that put back down. There's a bit here, this little plastic clip. Just remember that this part has to go over it. It doesn't go it doesn't go here, in there, and then it actually goes behind it. That kind of stymied us for 5 minutes there, but anyway, it's all done and dusted now. So, definitely looking a wee bit higher than it was, but that's to be expected when you have a broken spring. So, any questions? Feel free to ask.